Mm. Awesome. Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. I think in this video, I'd like to discuss with y'all what's going on and what they're not telling us. All right. Cue the intro. Some good nuggets in here. Interesting character who wrote it. Can you survive? Why, yes, I can. When I worked for the .gov for a while, I learned at the time that really we, the big we, the government, we could only keep track of so many balls at a time at the higher levels. Oh, sure, there were little analysts squirreled away everywhere that were experts on the little marbles, if you will. But the powers that be could only focus on, about 3 or 4 big balls at a time. That was it. And it kind of amazed me how, one week something would be really important and the next week nothing had really changed there to make it less important, but no one cared about it anymore because this other thing now was more important. And my thought process was, well, then why aren't we focusing on all of them? Span of control, mind, that's for people who study that stuff. I don't know. I do know that span of control, the number of people that one can adequately directly supervise, it's like 3 to 5. Right? So maybe it has something to do with that. You can only focus on so many big problems at a time, 3 to 5. I don't know. Some of you psychologists out there probably know the answer to that. But let's think about some things that were really big in the news that were not resolved and that you're not hearing about right now. Mosul, ISIS, taking it back from ISIS, killing of civilians, that kind of thing. What's going on there? RT every now and then puts out some propaganda piece, making the West look bad. Could be true, could be not. I don't know, but we're not hearing anything about it anymore, about ISIS's big push in Iraq. But we also haven't heard that we've destroyed them in Iraq. So what's going on there? Syria. What's going on with Syria? Syria was so important. World War III is coming, man. We're going to push up against the Russians. We're going to fly planes against the Russians. They're going to shoot us down. We're going to shoot them down. What's going on with Syria? You don't hear about it anymore. It's still going on. There's still Russians there. There's still us there. I don't think we're on the same side. Potential problems, right? China. South China Sea. They're building islands and putting anti-aircraft stuff on the air defense stuff and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to let it happen. We're going to fly a B-1 over it, or we're going to put a ship by it, or China warns us. Not really hearing about it anymore. Now you're hearing that, leader of China is going to come to Trump Estate South and hang out there for a while and discuss matters of the economy. Kind of makes you feel like you're getting played sometimes, doesn't it? I'm going to talk today on Patreon. When I'm done shooting this video, I'm going to shoot one for Patreon. And I'm going to talk about the deep state and probably also the code that supposedly exists that they, the Illuminati or whoever, has this code that they have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. Probably going to talk about that a little bit. Did you see that James Woosley, former director of CIA, DCI, did a piece in the paper, thought piece, where he said words to the effect of, we really ought to seriously consider preemptively nuking North Korea. At one time, North Korea had awesome chemical and biological warfare capability. North Korea just killed defector? I guess he was a defector from North Korea in Malaysia by rubbing VX nerve gas or nerve agent on his face, and then he died. It's a pretty dramatic way to kill somebody. Not very sophisticated because everybody knows they did it. And what are people doing about it? Do you hear people screaming about that? Do you know that VX is outlawed by the UN? Mm-hmm. What's going on with North Korea? We are hearing a little bit about that, right? That's what they kind of want you to focus on right now. North Korea and spying, Russians trying to influence our election. Gee, you think? You think we try to influence elections? No. Gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail, right? Oh, Lord. Of course they try to influence the election. They want the best choice of two for them, just like we do. Look what happened in Ukraine. Who do you think influenced that? Us. And I don't have a problem with that. Nations act in their own best interest, right? But I'm just saying there's a lot going on, and we, the people, are only being shown what they want us to see while all this other stuff is moving around in the background. And do not allow yourself to be lulled into a sense of complacency or hammered into a sense of, oh, woe is us, nothing I do could possibly help. Things you do could possibly help. I say, basic preparedness covers a myriad of scenarios. Here, shameless plug because it's sitting here. My book, right? Survivalist Family, Prepared Americans for a Strong America. Available at fine bookstores everywhere or Barnes & Noble. But I tell you, in there, basic and intermediate preparedness, how to square your house away, how to square your family away, how to get some plans done. And if people would just take the steps in that book and do those things, whether it was an EMP or nuclear war or economic collapse or, oh me, oh my, man, so many more people would live and be better off and be able to help their neighbors, right? Which is really what I want. I'd like everyone just to be like, cool. I have themes, right? I've realized that. I have drums that I beat on this channel. One of them is that I beat over and over and over, get away from the populated areas. Come out of her, my people, right? Get away. Because being around masses of panicky, hungry people is a bad thing when that happens. And so you need to get away from the people. And, I go over that and I see the comments of the people who say they can't. And, okay. Okay. Don't do it. You're right. You can't. Another one of my themes is get with a group of people. Join a group or form a group. This guy, Depew, man, this book was written a long time ago. I think like in the 60s maybe. Hold on, I'm going to look. I know, I should have known that before I went. And 1973. He talks about the importance of forming or joining a group. And he says some of the same things I do about the problems that people have with doing that. Interesting book. I don't even know if you can find it anymore. I just pulled it off the shelf for the intro. But I tell y'all to, form groups now while you can. Family groups, neighborhood groups, church groups, whatever. And, like I said on Patreon the other day, sometimes I think that just falls on deaf ears. But I know something that doesn't fall on deaf ears, because here's another thing I say. When I say move out of the cities, come out of her, my people, I pump moving to the Ozarks, right? I do that. I tell lots of people, move to the Ozarks. It's a great place. People of faith, people of deep faith, because I see it. And I believe, and I know there's lots of people out there who don't, and that's fine, and you can even leave your nasty comment as long as you don't be personally insulting to me. I'll let it stay there. But I believe that God, the Most High Yah, is calling his people to the Ozarks. He's probably calling them other places too. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he is. But the Ozarks is a place where he's calling his people. And I just see people of deep faith all throughout the Ozarks. And one way where I know my words have had effect, and it actually kind of humbles me and makes me think a little bit more about what's coming out of my yap on YouTube, is I have met several, 5, 7 people, different people, who say when they meet me they moved to the Ozarks because of what I said on this channel. That's kind of heavy for me. That's kind of a lot of responsibility because you all know sometimes I just get on here and rant, right? I'm not giving a whole lot of forethought to what I say. I'm trying to be better about that. Excuse me. But I know some people are listening, and that gives me hope, right? Hey, somebody's, I just got the latest one today. YouTube keeps unsubscribing them from this channel. And by the way, if you're watching this video on any other channel than Viking Preparedness, somebody's ripping me off. Flag them, report them, trash them, please. But somebody said YouTube keeps unsubscribing them from my channel. Yeah, I definitely have a right-wing bent, right? Very anti-globalist, pro-independence, self-sufficiency. None of these things play well with the powers that be at YouTube, and so, yeah, you'll get unsubscribed from me. The other thing is I'm just so disgusted with YouTube. They let people rip my stuff off. They don't take any action on that. They demonetize my videos whenever I talk about, bad guys from other parts of the world. And so I've moved the bulk of my content to Patreon. I'll put a link to it down in the discussion for those of you who are interested in it. Yes, it costs money. It costs at least $1 a month. This coffee, which is instant Folgers, probably costs close to $1. This is the third cup I've had this morning. I'll probably spend $1 on that. Anyway, on Patreon, last 10 days, I just made a list of what I covered in Patreon last 10 days. We had a live chat, successful live chat, beta tested, so we're going to be doing that initially twice a month for a couple months and then ramping it back down to once a month, where I just get to interact with the Vikings. I did one yesterday on refining your bug out plan and putting together maps that get increasingly more detailed to your various places and why you need to do that. Did one on electronic surveillance and finances. I know, how do they go together? They didn't really. I was drinking coffee and talking. We looked at how much time do we have. That was another topic I covered. How much time do we actually have before, things go badly? Did one on world events. Did one on everyday carry. And I did one on not living, that was my dog banging on the sliding glass door, not living your life in fear, right? And so I feel a little bit more at ease there. I can just kind of be me more. And so that's what we're doing over on Patreon. I invite you to come join us and see what's going on. But the world is an interesting place, and just because we're not hearing about things doesn't mean that you shouldn't be steady preparing. Steady. Another thing you can do is constantly ask yourself, what if? What if this happens? What am I going to do then? What if this happens? What am I going to do then? And when you come up with an answer to that, don't make it flippant. Well, I'll just do this. Actually think through that. How are you going to do that? What's that going to look like? How's that going to affect things? Second, third order effects, that kind of thing. We just talked about that on Patreon too. I'm putting excerpts of my book on Patreon, and that was one of the more recent chapters. Second, third order effects. They're coming. Times are interesting, and I think when it happens, it's going to happen quick. All right. Hey, I wish you all the best, and I hope that you do the best you can where you're at with what you got, and I will see you out there.